with my friend Sally O. And let's start off. We're going to talk about homeopathy today, but let's start with you sharing a little bit about your background and, how did you get into real food? And I know you're a functional medicine practitioner. I want to hear about that. And then I want to hear about how homeopathy is changing some of that for you. So tell us a little about yourself.
Well, I'm native of Kentucky, and I'm married to my husband. I say he's from Massachusetts. And we've been married for like 27 years. We have 2 grown sons. So we met in Key West, Florida, which is where I lived for about 25 years. And when I was there, I had a fitness business. So I taught aerobics and body sculpting and step aerobics, and I took people to the gym and taught them how to use the machines and yoga. I did everything, and I was very into it. And I owned that for about 17 years. And then we had kids, and I stopped exercising totally and gained a little bit of weight.
Well, kids are busy.
Yes, they're so busy. They demand so much of your time.
Yeah.
And so I became a real estate broker to actually earn some money to support ourselves. And my husband did the homeschooling. I brought in the bacon during those years.
Okay.
So then we moved to Costa Rica for 5 years just on a whim. And when I was at the end of our stay in Costa Rica, I got bacterial pneumonia. And in a third world country, there are a lot of different bacteria that, of course, we're not used to.
Yeah.
And I was on my deathbed. And it turned out I was on my deathbed. They said if I didn't go to the hospital the day I went, I would not be here today. But what really pushed me over the edge was that for the whole week that I laid in bed thinking I had dengue, which is like malaria, it's a mosquito-borne disease. Everybody said, just take a lot of Tylenol to keep the fever down and it's called the bone break, because you feel like all your bones are broken. It's so painful. And my liver was almost completely dead by the time I got to the hospital.
How old were you when this happened?
I was 50.
Okay.
50. I was 55. Sorry, 55.
Okay.
And I was in the hospital for 3 weeks. They put me in a coma for 4 days. When they put you in a coma to save your life, that's pretty sick.
That's
so
bad.
When I got out of
That's bad.
That's bad. So when I got out of the hospital, I spent a lot of time. I had to recover from the hospital stay. They sent me home in a wheelchair with an oxygen tank. I had a respirator for 10 days. It was just a mess. So that's when I discovered Weston A. Price. We were actually just before the hospital, we were at a Gringo ice cream store, and there was a brochure that said butter is a superfood. And my husband and I were like, what? We of course we haven't heard that in years. And we immediately started eating butter. I started researching. Then I got sick. And then we came back to the States. And so I've spent the last few years recovering my health from the hospital stay. And so that has led me down so many paths. And I became a functional health practitioner, which, health and fitness has always been my true love.
Yeah.
And where my passion is, I could read about it all day long. It's all I want to do and talk about.
Yeah, it goes together.
Yes, it goes together. So I became a functional health practitioner. And then when we moved out here to the boonies in Kentucky, I met a woman who has homeschools, Christian, is pregnant with her 8th child now. And she really introduced me to essential oils. She introduced me to homeopathy. And I was like, those little tiny pills, I mean, they're like, so, they come in this little tiny bottle.
Yeah. Like what
and
can they
there's
do?
little tiny pills that you put in and then she said they have nothing in them, which I hope you'll explain what I just said.
Well, I'm still learning too, so.
I know. But it's the remedy is an herbal concoction that's diluted down to almost nothing and then coated on this little pill. And I was like, this girl's crazy. And then she introduced me to Joette Calabresi, who I'd also kind of been introduced to through the Weston A. Price Foundation. But homeopathy was always that wacky thing. So then I did my first gateway to homeopathy course about a year ago. And I just did the one with you. And
Oh, I didn't know you'd done 2 of them.
yeah, this was my second time.
So was your world rocked at the first one?
It was not quite rocked because I was so busy with other things at the time, and the baby had just been born, and I wanted to pay attention, but I still had those little doubts.
Okay.
And then when the baby started teething, and we started giving her arnica, because that was what we had, and I know there are other things she's trying to get in.
Grandma!
Grandma, what are you doing? So we gave her that, and it worked beautifully. It took all her pain away from the teething.
Wow.
And I thought, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And so then I did the other homeopathy course, and I have just been totally convinced that this is the real deal. From the hospital, I have a chronic cough. And when I first got out of the hospital, I would cough all night. I couldn't get any sleep. And I would cough, and nobody had any cure. The doctors all wanted me to take Nexium. Oh. And I tried that, and then all my hair fell out. And I was like, okay, I'm not doing that anymore. So I've been looking. I could not find any information about a chronic cough. And I finally found some information, and I did a few other things. But in homeopathy, I started taking, just during this last course, Ipekek, which is Ipekek 30.
Yep.
And that has worked wonders. My cough is almost gone. It's gotten better over the years, but it's been remarkable. I have acid reflux, chronic acid reflux, and so I looked up the Banerjee protocol for that, and I ordered the stuff, and I've been taking that. It's much better.
Oh my goodness, you're having all sorts of good successes, aren't you?
Oh yeah, and since then. My little Facebook Live was going to be on what I use for pain instead of aspirin, because I'll tell you something, I'm never using aspirin again. I'm never using Tylenol or I'd have to be deathly ill to use the Tylenol.
Yeah, me too.
I would have to be convinced it would save my life.
Yeah.
So we don't even have that in the house. We have aspirin. And I have taken it occasionally, but I'll never have to take it again because we use arnica for pain.
Yeah.
My husband, you might still hear him coughing in the background. We just got over, each of us had a little flu. And that darn baby brought it in the house. And so he still got the cough. But while I had the flu, I was sick for 2 days, only 2 days, which is remarkable. And I had terrible pain in my thighs and my knees and my hips, just like a flu, like those aches and pains. And I would take arnica, and boom, 15 minutes later, that pain would be gone.
That is
so I took a lot of it during the 2 days, whenever I feel the pain. It went away. I could sleep. And after a while, it stopped coming back. And I guess I was getting over it.
And that's what they say about homeopathy, that instead of, and this is what I talk about in my post too, that Joette taught me, that instead of taking the conventional meds, which they come with side effects almost always, if your hair's not falling out, then you're constipated or who knows what. But they push the condition deeper. That's the way that Joette explained it to me. And so then when I had the migraines, which is what my post is about, how to get rid of migraines, that's partly what it's about. He told me, try really hard not to take the Motrin, because I knew if I took 2 Motrin, it was gone. But she said, yeah, it's gone, but it's going to keep coming back. Whereas if you start using homeopathy instead, which now I found, like I call my post, my magic sauce, that actually works really well. But she said, if you use that, it's going to you're going to get headaches less, and they'll be less severe, and pretty soon they'll be gone. So it uproots. That's what I love about homeopathy. And I don't get how it works. I really don't. I tried to take a stab at it in the post, and try to describe how, maybe Sheena was suggesting her, and I think maybe that's how it works, and that she kind of convinced all of us. But then this lady in the my comments at the post was like, yeah, I don't know if that's really it. And I'm like, well, I don't know. I'm just learning. I don't really get it either. So, so your world has been rocked like mine has now.
Yes. And
so
you
tell us.
Is saying it's, in functional medicine, you do the same thing. You look for the root. People, if you go to the doctor and you say, I have a headache, he says, take 2 aspirin, call me in the morning.
Yes.
So the headache's gone, the disease must be gone, right? Not right.
Yeah.
As you say, there's something causing those headaches, and you want to get to the root of it. So in functional medicine, we're trained to look for the root. I get a whole health history. We look at all the symptoms. If you can afford testing, we do blood, stool, urine, hair. There's another one that we do, but
Muscle testing. Do you do muscle testing?
I don't do muscle testing, but I have a friend who's very good at it. So there's all kinds of testing you could do to figure out what the root cause is. And then you go after the root. And if the root is parasites, there's a whole protocol of supplements that you take 3 times a day. You take them for 2 months.
Yeah.
And you get to be diligent about it. If it's some adrenal problem, then you work that can take 2 years to heal in functional medicine. And you take supplements, you got to work on your sleep and your diet. You got to figure out what you do a elimination, it's complicated.
Right.
And I don't like complicated.
Yeah.
And it's expensive.
Yes.
Buying all those supplements and paying for all that testing. And that's something else about homeopathy when I said you're blowing my functional medicine brain all to hell.
Yeah.
It's so simple. And you don't have to do all that. Sheena reprimanded me one time. I said, well, what's the root? And she said, you don't look at the root. You go by the symptoms.
Well, the cause. You were saying, what's the cause? And she said, we don't care why.
We don't care why.
We just care what's happening. And that's what you deal with, because that's how like she says, you start peeling back the layers through the years. Yes. And sometimes you'll go back, and she said that like old issues will come up. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. That means that the layers are kind of coming up. So yeah, she says to look at the symptoms, and that goes in and uproots what's causing it.
Yeah. And the same thing happens with functional medicine. Sometimes you'll start with the adrenals. You heal the adrenals, and then something else comes up that was always there, but you were unaware of it because you were so tired or so, focused on your adrenal health or your thyroid. Often, the next thing, or you'll do a whole parasite protocol and you'll test, and there'll be a brand new thing that was hidden, under the other parasite. It happens. Yeah. So, and homeopathy, I mean, this little bottle of pills, I bought this bottle of pills, which is, I think, $8. And there's
the Washington one?
It's the Washington homeopathy. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And this is my arnica. I have another bigger bottle of arnica.
Yeah.
Because I'm never going to be without this.
The economy size.
The economy size. And, so it's just fascinating how well it's working on the things I've used it for. And then in our Gateway to Homeopathy course, so many people said things that has worked for them. So I'm very excited to find this. It just makes things so much simpler, affordable, and cures.
Right. Well, what I do want to bring up, though, and this is kind of a critical, a criticism of homeopathy for some people, because when I was talking to a friend of mine the other day about how it seems so much simpler, and you don't have to go through so many tests and try this supplement, try that supplement. And she said, well, homeopathy seems that way to her sometimes, because if something doesn't work, you're going back and changing to this remedy or try this new protocol. But what I was thinking, and I wrote this in the post, I keep saying that, it's just because the post is on my brain because it was 4,000 words.
It was great. Yeah, it was huge.
It was, yeah.
And nobody ever has to write another post, so thank you.
Well, most people probably will never get to the end of that, but I figure they could use it to search, like do Control F for find and search whatever they're looking for. But what I was talking about on there is, it's a cheaper way to keep searching. So if you don't, because what Joette teaches is that you have to have the right diagnosis in order to have the right remedy. And if you don't, it's going to be trickier. And even if you have the right diagnosis, you may not always find it with the first line protocol. And sometimes you have to go to the second or third. And then she said, after that, you go to the classical and, you're your own researcher. You could use the help of a homeopath, which some people might need to for really tricky things, but you can just keep looking so you're out $6 or $10 or whatever it may have cost. It's not like it's an expensive way to keep trying. Right. And that is frustrating, though. I think I was sharing about
you had your friend, right?
Yeah, my aunt, who we went through 3 different protocols, but we don't know exactly what's going on with her. So we were just trying different pain remedies. She had extreme pain all the way to a 10 at times. Wow. So so it's not, I wouldn't say it's perfect. I don't want people to think it's perfect. Nothing is. Nothing's going to work for everyone. But I have personally had so many successes. You have had so many successes,
Yeah.
so I think that why not try this and be
Why
open
not?
to it, even if
And
we
there's
don't
no side
understand it.
effects.
Right. No
So,
side effects, no, drug interactions or whatever, right?
yeah, nothing. I mean,
So
it's not dangerous.
what do you tell people though when they say, well, how could that work? Those little pills?
Well, I want to point out another thing too that you came across, and I think it came up because of your aunt, is that if someone's doing conventional medicine, they
Oh,
can do, and they don't want to give that up because they don't
yes,
want to, they don't want to be in the pain. They can do both at the same time,
right.
and maybe start to back off of the conventional medicine. I love that.
Yeah, yeah, that was
You
actually
know,
another friend of mine. Well, my aunt did that
yeah,
too. But she, it's harder, I think, when someone's in a lot of pain and when they're especially
yeah,
when they're older to convince them. Well, just because this
yeah,
would, she would have had to keep taking the pain meds, but then take the homeopathy and kind of slowly work off it. She's in too much pain to do with all that. So right now
yeah.
she's just waiting for her doctor. But my other friend who has back issues, she's doing that right now. She's taken the conventional when she really needs it, but she's working on the underlying issues with the homeopathy, hoping that that's going to work for her. Now,
Yeah.
I had told her about my husband's back pain and how, it's not like he never has any back pain. Like if he is in the car too long or whatever, but he's got his remedies and it helps a lot quicker
Hmm.
than, or a lot better, like we said, it uproots. But he had a worse back pain that would drop him to the floor at times. Bless you. And he doesn't have any more of that. That's completely gone. The really, really bad pain. Now he just has like the normal kind of aches and pains if he's, if he lifted something or whatever. But homeopathy is taking care of really the worst of his back pain for sure.
Yeah.
And I mentioned it helped me with my migraines. I have my remedy now. It's no big deal. Oh, what I wanted to tell about though, and I was telling you about this the other day, is the aconitum or aconite for
Oh,
sure.
right.
When sometimes I wake up and I feel like maybe I have like a scratchy throat or a little cough or stuffiness. I feel like something might be coming on. I'll take that right away. And literally, well, I haven't been sick since I started homeopathy. So I can't even say that there's a time that hasn't worked because
Hmm.
every time I just take that and nothing comes on. It's
Right.
just, it's just done. And I've done that with the kids before too, if they wake up with something. Although our son woke up a few weeks ago with something and he said he wasn't feeling it. I gave him that right away and it didn't work, turns out, because he had chickenpox.
Oh.
Yeah. And I was like, yes, natural immunity. So I'm going to do a whole
Yeah.
post about that soon. And because then I used homeopathy, he was never itchy.
Wow.
I mean, a little, but I mean,
Mhm.
not even, he wasn't really even complaining. He
Yeah.
just had, a little sore throat, little upper respiratory stuff, but that
Yeah.
was so simple. So
Yeah.
I've had so many good successes with it.
Yeah. I'm so excited to dive in deeper. And I love the Banerjee protocols. I'm just totally sold on,
Yep.
once you have the diagnosis, you need a correct diagnosis. I have 3 cases. How do I explain to people? People don't come to a functional medicine practitioner until they're desperate.
Oh, yeah.
They've usually been to all the conventional medicine, and finally they go, what else is there? And then
Yeah.
they call a functional health practitioner.
Right. So you're going
So
to add this to your practice? Obviously.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I don't do a lot of coaching anymore,
Okay.
but I have people call me, and I have 3 potential clients who are at their wits' end. And so I'm going to talk to each of them and say, listen, could we try homeopathy? I would
So
love
that's
it
the
if it
other
would
thing
help them.
I was going to mention is, I'm still learning. Like you and I both, we feel pretty new at this, I think,
Yeah.
even though you
Yeah.
took the other class too, but I'm still learning all this. So I don't really feel qualified to teach people very much about this yet. I mean, basically all I've done is told how I've used it
Hmm.
and how it's helped me, but I am going to do, I think, I mean, it's not 100% yet, but I think I'm going to do a study class soon with another gal who's got a lot more experience than I do.
Uh-huh.
And
Uh-huh.
so I've been telling people, if I end up doing it, email me to let me know that you might be interested, and put in all caps like study guide in the, so I'll see it and I'll flag it and I'll set it aside, because we can only take a certain number and then I can have them in order in case you get too many. But so email me, Kelly at KellyTheKitchenKop.com.
And you're saying that to the whole everybody.
To everybody. Yeah. Well, if you I mean, you too, if you want to take another one. I think I already did. Oh, did you? Okay. Good. So I just want to mention that. So is there anything else you want to share before we?
No, I think I'm good. I'm so excited by it.
I know, me too.
Which I didn't expect at all.
Right. That we have another tool. A way to help people. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Thanks so much, Sally.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you, Kelly.